Thank you guys for tuning in. Today I'll be talking about my Terminator Spec 8.8 along with all the parts that I used to put it together. Real quickly though, before I get to that, let me give a big shout out to my friend James from OG Superfly Garage for sending me this gear. So if you're not subscribed to his channel, let me tell you, go out there and check him out. He owns the Black Widow, one of the cleanest supercharged hatchbacks you'll ever see. Alright, now that I've said that, let's get to the diff. Everyone knows that the 2003 and 2004 Cobras have an independent rear suspension. This is obviously a solid axle. What I mean is that I used all of the stronger guts from that IRS pumpkin and I installed them onto this solid axle. So now it has the same 31 spline carbon clutch carrier as the 03 and 04 Cobras. I also installed a set of 31 spline axles along with these brackets that are going to allow me to run the same vented rear disc brake setup as the Cobras. If you can see there's also a really nice coating on this differential, and you can take a guess at what that is, but if you want to find out, please watch the rest of this video where I'm going to assemble this differential.
This is the 8.8 that I'm going to be working with. It's the same 8.8 that I used when I 5-lug swapped my 4-cylinder Notchback. I've gone ahead and disassembled it. I cleaned it up a little bit, and I also installed new bearing races in it, so it's pretty much ready to start on assembly. This is the carrier that I'm going to be installing. It's a 31 spline unit from Ford Racing. It's the same basic setup that you find on the 2003 and 2004 Cobras or Terminators. So it's got the 31 spline and carbon clutches, and it will bolt directly onto your 8.8 housing. This is the part number to anyone who is interested, and these are the gears that I'm going to be running. It's a set of Ford Racing 373 gears that as you can see I've had sitting for a while as well. So I'm going to press this onto the carrier right now. Okay, I'm finally getting ready to assemble this 8.8 for the last time. I got the pinion and bearing already pressed in with the correct shims, and I have a new crush sleeve here that I'm going to use to set the bearing preload. So let's make sure that you got your oil seal in place, the rear pinion bearing and the oil slinger already installed, and we're going to place new crush sleeve in there, and we're gonna put the bearing in carefully. So there it is. Alright, so I'm gonna use the impact to start tightening this up. Okay, so what you'll notice is that you'll start to get some resistance, but you see there's all that play still on the gear. So I'm gonna keep running the nut down until that play is completely gone. Okay, check every feet turn. I can feel it move just a little bit. Now that I have no play in the bearings, what I'll do next is I'm going to check the bearing preload. I suspect that it will be next to nothing right now because all I did was remove the slack. So I still need to crush the sleeve and get some preload, but let's just check. Yeah, there's nothing, so it's still reading 0. The specifications that I got for used bearings were from 8 to 14 pounds for used bearings,
and 16 to 29 for brand new bearings. So that's the number I'll be shooting for. Ideally, you would want to do this by hand, by grabbing the hold down tool with one breaker bar and using another one to turn the nut. However, you'll find that if you have the differential off of the car, when you'll try to apply pressure to one breaker bar and hold the other, the housing will begin to lift. So I'm going to try an alternate method. So what I'll do is I'll put a mark on this flange here and another one on the socket. Okay, so that's gonna tell me about how much I have moved. Okay, so I'm gonna line up the two marks. Alright, and I'm gonna turn it about 1/8 of a turn. Okay, I'm starting to feel some resistance. That's about 10. So just a little bit more than that. Alright, so last couple of taps. Let me show you guys. Let's see if I can catch this. So there's gonna be two numbers, right? The first number is gonna be the initial amount of torque or force it's gonna take to get this turning, and you're not too interested with that. What you're interested in is after it starts turning. So it's a little bit past the 20, very close to the 20. Alright, let me drop the carrier. We're going to place the shims we had. However, so I've read in several places that after you're already on the final stage, to add 8 thousandths worth of shim to each side, and that's to account for casing spread. I'm not sure what it is, but I've heard several professionals recommend that, so I'm gonna do that. So I took out a 12 thousandths shim from each side and I added 20 on each side, so that adds up to about 8 per side. Go. Zero it out. All right, so even though I added 8 thousandths to both sides, the backlash hasn't changed, so it's still around 11. Alright, this is going to be the pattern that I'll be running. You can see that it starts down here in the toe and it moves up about 3/4 of the way up. Okay, so it appears to be nice and centered between the crown here and the root. So I'm not sure if you can see that there's a small line of paint here at the edge, so it's not riding on the corner there. The other side appears to be pretty good as well. So in my opinion, That's a good pattern. I'm gonna try to run it. If there's any problems with it, if I hear any noise or any other issues, then I'll take it apart and shim it again, but I think we should be fine. It's time to spray the axle. This is what I'll be using on it. I know it's unconventional, but I use this on the back bumper of my truck and I really like how rugged this is. So I'm gonna try it on the 8.8. Here we are, guys, with the axle already just about dried up. I went ahead and installed the bushings for the control arms. So I changed those, and this is what I'm gonna use to finish it up. These brackets here are for disc brakes. They're a reproduction of the Cobra brackets. So these are made out of aluminum instead of cast iron, and they're about $100 on eBay. So I have this generic set of 31 spline axles that have been sitting on my parts bin for years. These are Summit brand. I'm gonna go ahead and finally use them. I'm gonna press in the studs and finally bolt everything back up so I can seal this. Now we're just going to install the C-clip right in there, like that. And finally we're going to install this rod and bolt that holds the C-clip and axles in place. There we go. Now all I gotta do is tighten that bolt and I get to seal everything up.